done it, but I could if I wanted to.
Yes, you could.
Good morning, everyone. The public hearing will come to order for House File 583. We will be going back and forth, pro con, to be just as fair as we can be.
Thank you, Chairman Holt, members of the committee. My name is Ryan Ben. I'm with the Family Leader, and we are in support of the bill. Clearly, there are circumstances when it is necessary and right to differentiate between a real woman and a man masquerading as a woman.
The Golden Rule is common to many faith traditions, and it has a logical corollary. Do not do to others as you would not have them do to you. To bring it on home, if you would not want the government to remove your civil rights, do not remove the civil rights of others.
I believe God made man and woman with nothing in between. I believe Scripture is clear regarding this topic, and I believe a land governed in a way that honors Christ is a land that God desires.
This is what democracy looks like!
Good morning, my name is Cade Martin, and today I speak not just for myself, but for many other transgender youths in Iowa. I was born on February 27, 2007. Today is my 18th birthday. I stand before you fighting for the same basic civil rights that every Iowan deserves by humanely asking you to vote against this bill. Please don't take my rights away.
I believe that we should follow the tradition that our fathers and our grandfathers held. There are two genders. There's a reason for that. God states that in the Bible, and I'm thankful for that.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Keaton Crow, please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all, except for transgender people. Representatives, this bill makes a mockery of both our pledge and our state motto. It is not justice to deny someone shelter simply because they are a transgender person. It is not justice to deny them a car loan, life insurance, a credit card, simply because they are transgender. It is not justice to fire someone, a model employee, simply because it is discovered that they are transgender. That is not justice. This bill is not about sports. You will not see anything about sports or athletics in the entire bill. It is about access to justice or lack thereof. In 1868, Plessy versus Ferguson enacted nearly 60 years of injustice across the country, and state after state had to choose whether or not separate was actually equal. And Iowa was the first state to say that separate is not equal. And yet here we stand, over 150 years later, enshrining those very words into Iowa code, separate but equal. That is shameful. I ask you to reject this legislation and hold true the promise in both our pledge and our state motto, our liberties we prize and our rights we will maintain. Thank you.
Linking arms. Linking arms for what? Yeah.
We love everybody.
And we are singing, singing for our lives. We are trying together. We are singing, singing for our lives. We are trying together. We are singing, singing for our lives. Singing, singing for our
The chair recognizes the senator from Crawford, Senator Schultz, for opening remarks on Senate File 418.
Senate File 418 is a bill concerning the words gender identity listed in Chapter 216 of Iowa Code. It strikes the words gender identity from Iowa's Civil Rights Chapter.
Gender is defined as synonymous with sex when referring to biological differences and not a synonym for gender identity or expression. It clarifies that equal does not mean same or identical, and that separate accommodations based on sex are not inherently unequal.
Since 2007, gender identity has been listed in Iowa's Civil Rights Code. We have seen abuses of this policy as men, dressed or undressed and declaring themselves women, have invaded women's spaces such as locker rooms, bathrooms, and changing areas.
The bill removes language that allowed sex to be changed on birth certificates after sex reassignment surgeries. The bill removes gender identity as a protected class from Chapter 216. The bill replaces the term gender identity with gender theory in Code Section 279.80.
We have a law prohibiting biological boys from competing in women's sports. We have required restrooms and changing facilities like locker rooms to be used based on biology. We have also forbidden puberty blockers and sex change operations for minor children. All these legal protections are at risk due to the inclusion of the words gender identity in our code. 28 states do not have this special recognition in law. It is in Iowa's best interest, and we have a strong rational basis to choose to protect women, children, and taxpayers. That concludes my opening comments.
There are amendments. Chair recognizes the senator from Polk, Senator Blake.
Thank you, Mr. President. Ladies and gentlemen of the Senate, Amendment S3011 is very simple in what it does. It removes the strike related to gender identity in relation to employment.
We're going to remove the words gender identity from code, as I said. I would ask the chamber to resist this amendment.
Senator Schultz, I don't see what this has to do with protecting people in their restrooms, in their locker rooms, and children by kicking people out of their homes and discriminating against them to even get into a place. Because I don't like how you look. That's not Iowa. That's supposed to be Iowa nice. So much for that.
Do not let this bill be done in your names. Vote this bill down today, because this is not the end. Those think tanks will ask you again and again and again to remove rights and freedoms from your fellow Iowans until none remain. Draw the line in the sand and say that civil rights in Iowa are enshrined and protected. And let us get back to the people's business. Let us work to make Iowa the place where people move to instead of flee from, and a place in Iowa where all of our dreams come true, a place where we live our highest values, our liberties we prize, and our rights we will maintain.
I rise in opposition to what is perhaps the single cruelest bill that I've seen in my 23 years in the Iowa Senate. Our Supreme Court ended segregated schools in 1868, 86 years before the U.S. Supreme Court got around to it in Brown versus Board. And our Supreme Court at that time rejected the separate but equal language that ominously is creeping back into the current bill.
It is outrageous that you even have to file this amendment because this entire bill is outrageous. Iowa should not become the first state in the nation to remove an entire group of people from civil rights protections.
This state is going to become the first state in the nation to back up on civil rights. You get to carry that honor with you as long as you live because you're going to take the votes to do it. When I go to my grave, I will not have to face that.
Thank you, Mr. President. Ladies and gentlemen of the Senate, the same reasoning would make me ask you to resist this amendment again. The bill is written as a whole, and I ask that we do not accept this amendment.
The chair recognizes the senator from Polk, Senator Bisignano.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, Mr. President. The answer that we just got, I mean, is that going to be our answer as well? This is protecting women, children, and... I mean, are we not going to have a debate here on this issue? I mean, no one else wants to talk. We're talking about something critical here. People's lives. These people aren't downstairs because they got nothing else to do. Their life's on the line, and it should be taken serious, and I don't think you're taking it serious. You filed the bill, you knew what you were going to do, you all got in line, and here we go, the exact same procedure. Do you got anything legitimate to talk about why you're screwing people in housing, in employment, and in health care and everything else? Can we talk about it over there? A little bit? Tell me what you think. You hurt more people than I've ever seen in my political life, and you never speak about it. The only thing you can't wait to do is say the prayer in the morning. Follow what you say. We're talking about people in housing. Senator Blake's taking it serious, and you're not. Most of you aren't even paying attention. This isn't your average bill running through this chamber. You're hurting people. And Senator Schultz takes pride in it, in the fact that no other state has it, we got it. Well, that's what we ought to be proud of, is that we're on the cutting edge of human rights. But if they don't fit your cookie cutter, we don't want them living next to us, right, Senator Blake? Or we don't want them working next to us. What have they ever done to you? Most of you don't even know somebody who's transgender. You don't even know them, but you hate them. You have to hate them because you cannot do what you're doing today if you didn't. But we'll say a nice prayer to start the day. We always do. And then we proceed to violate people over and over and over again. All they want's their fair shake in life. They want to be like you. They want to live with you. Something wrong with that? So I would hope you'd energize a little bit over there and defend what you're doing to human beings. Instead of just sitting there smugly looking over here, waiting for 3:30 so you could force us to vote. and then you can get out of here. They're still protesting. And you've all kind of made fun of that. You don't pay any attention to that. No, they're not there because they got nothing to do. Their life is at stake, and you're not even talking about it. I ask you to support this amendment. It's not much. Neither is the employment amendment. But you've already decided in that room of yours, you're not going to take an amendment. You're never going to take an amendment. Shame on you. Shame on all of you Christians who want to keep talking about your faith when this is what God talked about. I don't know where you go to church and I don't know what you read. But being a good Christian doesn't take much. Do unto others. Take care of your neighbor. Keep your hand out of other people's pockets. Not much, but you wouldn't know it in this chamber. You wouldn't know it. You'd think that this side of the chamber are the most raging Christians in the world. It never stops being disappointed in this room. It never stops because we've never yet hit bottom, but we are getting very, very close. And you got your agenda and it's coming. But you're going to listen to me and you're going to listen to us. But we'd like to hear you in your words. Tell us why you hate those people. Tell us why you want to grind them and take them out of Iowa, because that's what this does. It pushes them out.
Point of order has been requested. Senator, state your point. Senator Bisignano, I'd encourage you to stay on topic, please. Thank you.
Shame on you, Christians.
Those in favor of the passage of Senate File 418 will vote yea. Those opposed to vote no. The Secretary will open the voting system and receive your vote. Every senator has voted. The Secretary will close the voting system. The Secretary will lock the voting system and record your votes. The Senate will pay attention to the results of the roll call. Those voting aye, 33. Those voting no, 15. The bill, having received a constitutional majority, is declared to have passed the Senate, and the title was agreed to. Now that time of day for points of personal privilege. Is anyone seeking the floor? Senator Lynn, Senator from Lynn, Senator Donahue.
Thank you, Mr. President. Ladies and gentlemen, history is not just a record of what has happened. It is a mirror that reflects who we are, who we were, and who we strive to be. It judges the choices that we make, the injustices we tolerate, and the courage we either embrace or reject. And time again, history has shown us that the painful truth. Those who stand against justice, against equality, against the dignity of every human being, they find themselves on the wrong side of history. Think of the voices that once spoke out against abolition, against women's suffrage, against desegregation. They clung to fear, to prejudice, to an illusion of superiority. They claimed tradition, law, even God himself as justification for that oppression. But today, their words ring hollow. Their names, even if remembered, are not celebrated but condemned. Because no argument, no matter how passionately made, can stand the test of time when it is built on the foundation of denying other persons their humanity. In our own time, we are not immune to this same failure. We see leaders and citizens alike resisting progress, clinging to systems that harm rather than heal, defending policies that divide rather than unite. Whether it's radical justice, LGBTQ plus rights, the rights of immigrants, or the fight against economic and environmental injustices. Every generation faces a choice. We either choose justice or we choose complicity. And make no mistake, silence is a choice. Indifference is a choice. Today, you all made your choice. But here is the power that we hold. History is still being written, and we are still its authors. We can choose to be the ones who march forward, who demand change, who refuse to let their generations look back on us with shame. We can decide right now that we will not be the voices of intolerance, the hands that build barriers, the hearts that turn away. So today we may have lost a battle, but we will not lose this war. The question is simple. When the future looks back on us, will it see people who stood for justice or those who stood in its way? The right side of history has always belonged to those who choose love over hate, courage over comfort, justice over oppression, and let that legacy be what we leave behind. I am so proud to stand here today with my Democratic colleagues. We are on the right side of history, so thank you for joining us all today.
Today I'm signing into law a bill that safeguards the rights of women and girls. It's common sense to acknowledge the obvious biological differences between men and women. In fact, it's necessary to secure genuine equal protection for women and girls. It's why we have men and women's bathrooms, but not men and women's conference rooms. Girls and boys sports, but not girls math and boys math. Separate men and women's prisons, but not different laws for men and women. It's also why Iowa has enacted laws protecting girls' sports for girls and women's private spaces like bathrooms and locker rooms. But unfortunately, these common sense protections were at risk because before I signed this bill,